7. 14,000 refugees. Back in 1950, the Korean War had started. Thousands of Koreans rushed to the harbors to try to flee North Korea's illegitimate invasion. They had hoped to gain refuge on one of the Allied boats from Hungnam docks. Most of the Allied ships were gone, and 14,000 refugees remained. It looked grim. Those people knew that they might not be able to survive if they couldn't escape. There was one hope. A small boat named the SS Meredith Victory was an American merchant marine cargo vessel designed to hold only 60 people max. Captain Leonard LaRue decided that a little thing like reality wasn't going to stop him from helping those people. He ordered all 14,000 refugees onto the small 60-man boat. It was an impossible task, except he did it. Saying they were stuffed in like sardines would be a gross understatement. No one was even able to sit down on the journey. What is worse is the small US boat had no sanitation facilities or even heat, also was unable to detect mines, and of course, had to navigate through mine-infested waters to reach safety. One would expect casualties to be extremely high under these circumstances. Nope, not even one casualty occurred. In fact, when they reached their destination, 5 new souls were aboard. That's right, 5 women actually gave birth under those conditions. The boat finally reached safety after a grueling 2-day journey through mine-infested waters on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1950. Number 6. Lost Dog. In April of 2006, a woman named Vonda Ludstrom from Aurora, Colorado, lost her little pet rat terrier named Daisy. Ms. Lundstrom gave up hope after tirelessly searching everywhere for her beloved pet. She was forced to accept the cold, hard truth that the poor little dog was dead. Only Lundstrom didn't count on a Christmas miracle 7 long months away. 7 months later, on Christmas Day, she received a call from a woman in Knoxville, Tennessee, saying she found a small rat terrier in her front yard with rabies tags that had Lundstrom's name and number on them. It was, in fact, Daisy. The small dog somehow managed to travel 1,300 miles through unforgiving terrain, bad weather, and wilderness infested with hungry predators. Lundstrom was shocked and overjoyed to be reunited with her miracle puppy. Number 5. Buried in snow. In December of 2008, Ontario, Canada was experiencing a massive snowstorm, even for them. Although, that wasn't going to stop 55-year-old Donna Molnar from going out to get baking supplies. Hey, what would Christmas be without cookies, right? Well, unfortunately, Molnar's car was blocked by a snowplow in the parking lot, and she was stranded. She left her vehicle to go for help. Molnar collapsed a short time later and was buried by the storm. A search was conducted in the blizzardy conditions and lasted for the next 3 days. Each day that passed meant it was less likely that the woman had survived. She was undoubtedly buried in several feet of snow. Then, a rescue dog named Ace found Ms. Molnar. She was indeed buried under 3 feet of snow. What was surprising was that not only was she still alive, but she was also fully conscious. Her body temperature was a mere 86 degrees, but she somehow survived the peril. She wasn't out of the woods just yet. She was rushed to a hospital to be treated for severe hypothermia and frostbite. It was unknown whether she would pull through until this magical night of Christmas Eve, when it was known that she would indeed survive. In true Canadian fashion, Ms. Molnar apologized to everyone for almost freezing to death. Number 4. 47 stories. In 2007, brothers Alcides and Edgar Moreno were working as window washers on skyscrapers in New York City. While washing windows of the Solo Tower, their scaffolding suddenly collapsed. The brothers fell 47 stories to the ground below. Edgar was killed instantly. Alcides, however, survived the plunge and was sitting up when paramedics arrived on the scene. Moreno was brought to the hospital and later slipped into an 18-day coma. He underwent 9 major surgeries in those days and received several gallons of blood. In spite of opinions that Moreno just couldn't survive such a fall, procedures were performed regardless of the odds. Not only did Moreno wake up on, you guessed it, Christmas Day, he was completely coherent and was even able to walk again later on. Even the famous physicist, Michio Kaku, was quoted as saying it was pure luck that Moreno survived. For a physicist, that is the equivalent of saying it was a miracle. Number 3. Back to life. In 2009, Tracy Hermansdorfer was giving birth in a Colorado Springs hospital on Christmas Eve. Suddenly, tides turned for the worse, and Tracy suffered from a heart attack while giving birth. She lay dead on the table for 4 minutes. During that time, doctors performed an emergency C-section to remove the baby boy. The cesarean was successful, but the baby's heartbeat was fading fast. Doctors all but gave up when they handed Mr. Hermansdorfer his newborn child to hold for the first, and most likely the last time. It was then that Mrs. Hermansdorfer's heart miraculously started beating again all on its own after she lay dead on the table for 4 minutes. Then in turn, her newborn son's pulse inexplicably became stabilized and his breathing resumed as normal. The doctors had no explanation why she suffered a heart attack when there was no prior issue, or how she suddenly came back to life without any ill effects. Number 2. Found baby. The year is 1931. On Christmas Eve, Ed and Julia Stewart were making the drive home through the vast Arizona desert, when suddenly their car got a flat tire. While on the side of the road, Mrs. Stewart went off to find a spot to go to the bathroom. She walked a little ways into the unforgiving desert, where she saw a hat box. Curious, she opened the box and found what was a perfectly healthy baby girl. The odds of her finding this baby in the middle of the desert were astronomical, but not on Christmas Eve. The Stewarts turned the baby over to authorities, who in turn put the baby up for adoption. She grew up healthy and happy, entering a career in the aerospace industry. Number 1. World War I Truce. In December of 1914, World War I was underway. The brutal conflict was fought from trenches, dug out about 100 yards apart from the enemy's trench. Each side took turns charging and dying, while the casualties racked up. Life was hard for those soldiers, even by standards of war. On Christmas Eve, something extraordinary happened. It is uncertain where it first began, but one of the sides began to sing Christmas carols. The other side heard the enemy singing and began to join in. British, French soldiers sang in unison with their German counterparts, about 100 yards away. Then, slowly, a few soldiers from both sides poked their heads up out of the trenches. Then they hopped out of the safety of their trench, with their hands raised, showing the enemy that they had no weapon. Others watched as these few slowly approached the enemy's side, and they weren't shot. They greeted each other right in the middle of the battlefield, and smiling, they shook hands with each other. Soon, more were coming out and greeting the other side with friendliness, and Christmas cheer. It is reported thousands laid down their weapons that Christmas for an impromptu ceasefire, all in the name of one perfect baby who was born in a manger over 1900 years prior to that war. One group of British soldiers even played a friendly soccer match with their German foes. The fighting eventually resumed, but just for that one special day, men took it into their own hands to lay down weapons and not kill in observance of their common beliefs. If that doesn't exemplify the Christmas spirit, I don't know what does. So there you have it. 7 strange events that occurred on or around Christmas. So please, friends, try to remember this in your own lives this year. Perhaps you can do something kind or caring for someone this season. It may be as simple as not getting angry at the young punk who cuts you off on the road, or the old lady who jumps in front of you at the grocery store checkout. Something, anything that shows others the special kindness which exists around Christmas time. It doesn't matter what your personal beliefs are. Much like the good news, it is about ideals, which are available to everyone. Morality doesn't discriminate. If we all did this, we would begin to take back this world out of the darkness and into the light, at least for one day. And who knows, maybe that one day can turn into 1 week, 1 season, 1 year, a decade, maybe even a lifetime. Hey, I could dream, can't I? Thank you all for watching and subscribing. And as the poem goes, a Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.